your boyfriend's mom cry? Like sobbing, crying, hyperventilating? Oh, is this gonna be a bratty lady? Or is this gonna be a crazy boy mom? Honestly, I'm excited for both. Don't mind the clothes. Y'all don't get to see, I'm trying to like even whisper, because you know Milo doesn't like loud noises. I was filming skits right before this, and Milo loves to sleep on my clothes. Anything that smells like me, really. And so I just thought, you know, that's fine. Y'all don't usually get to see him for Bad Apple. Usually, I mean, we love Vixie. She like just got up 5 seconds ago. We don't always get the privilege of Mr. Man over here, but we don't always get the privilege of this little nugget. So I figured I'd leave him. He can hang out. But so if I'm like whispering, that's why he doesn't like loud noises. Happy apple picking day! That just feels silly trying to whisper. It's fine. Some weekly reminders for all of our new friends. If you want a chance for your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send them to my subreddit, r/Am I the Bad Apple. And as a typical reminder, we all come from different branches of the apple tree. And sometimes some of us on the apple tree get cat hair in our eyeballs. But really serious. What that means is that we all have lived different lives and have different experiences. And the experiences that we've had kind of shape how we view the world, how we hear situations, how we internalize them, the details that we get stuck on. That's normal for us to all have different ones, you know? So when we discuss things in the comments, just keep that in mind. Whether someone doesn't think about something that you think is obvious, or someone is stuck on a point that you don't think is as important, but they do, that all comes from things that we've experienced in the world or haven't experienced in the world. So we just keep those things in mind as we practice constructive communication down in the comments. Can't tell if I like the purple or not. Y'all are gonna have to, I have a ring light on the camera, so I can't even see the thing. Y'all are gonna have to tell me. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking! I tried to move me closer and it made him get up and move, but he's just eating food, so he might come back. But I can at least get rid of these and he can just sit on my lap. Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for humiliating my colleague in front of our bosses? I, 25 female, recently attended a potluck-style work party and brought punch, which has since caused a problem between myself and another coworker, 42 female, who will call Sandy. Last week, my boss hosted a party at his house to celebrate the end of a busy season and a job well done. All of my coworkers and their spouses were invited, and we decided it would work well to do a potluck to offset the cost of feeding everyone. I volunteered to make punch that I've brought to previous work events that everyone said they've enjoyed, as well as some food to go with it. This was a casual party with alcohol present, but since there are colleagues that don't drink, I didn't add any alcohol to the punch and figured that if people really wanted some, they'd just add it themselves. Fast forward a couple hours and Sandy's getting very loud, much louder and more dramatic than normal, and is now stumbling at the party. I don't think much of it and figured maybe she brought her own drinks or was adding some of the host's alcohol that was put out in something else. She kind of fell off her chair that she was sitting on and made a big show of saying that it's because she was so drunk. And then she asked me in front of everybody else, our coworkers, their spouses, what it was that I put in the punch. I was confused and told her I didn't put any alcohol in it, and asked if maybe someone else had spiked the punch bowl. Nobody said anything. One of my coworkers who doesn't drink even said that they'd also been drinking the punch all evening and was completely sober. I would also like to clarify that I understand how context can matter. Like, even if everyone else was really drunk, then it can make even a sober person feel like they're loaded, but that was not the vibe. Sandy was the only person acting drunk, and she got really quiet and went by herself to the bathroom. The rest of us exchanged some awkward glances and tried to just laugh it off, but she left shortly after, and I received an angry text from her about how I shouldn't have embarrassed her like that, and that now she looks like an idiot in front of our bosses and the rest of our coworkers. She's been hostile to me at work ever since and is basically refusing to talk to me. I didn't think I did anything wrong, and most of my coworkers agree with me, but some say that I should have just let her go on thinking the punch was alcoholic to save her the embarrassment. And I'm wondering now if I'm in the wrong. Am I the bad apple? Not in the slightest, not in the slightest, not in the slightest. And do not let anyone else tell you otherwise. I have so many thoughts on this. And literally, I hope that I can remember all of them. They're all just kind of running at me at full speed with ADHD because my Adderall's wearing off. Anyway, I always do this series when my Adderall's wearing off. I need to not do that anymore. So, where do I start? First of all, you didn't do anything wrong. You bringing punch and not filling it with booze is not like a flaw. It's not a mistake. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you were to fill it with booze and not let people know, hey, this has alcohol in it, that would be the wrong move. Because for a lot of reasons. First of all, if there are people who are not planning on drinking who then can't drive later, if there's someone who's in recovery or someone who has a medical condition or someone who's pregnant, like you don't not tell someone when there is alcohol. You don't like have to say when it is. It's like vegan food or vegetarian food or gluten-free stuff. Like you don't have to clarify to the meat eaters, hey guys, this is vegetarian, but like you should clarify to vegetarians, hey, this is not vegetarian. Like, you know what I mean? Like I would never give someone a bad apple for not saying or for not warning people, hey, there's not alcohol in here. I would give someone a bad apple for putting alcohol and not letting people know. And I know there's gonna be a lot of people quick to judge the coworker. And while I think she's in the wrong, she's 100% in the wrong. I know that there's gonna be people that are like, oh my gosh, look at that woman, like she just thinks she's drunk and she's not. But psychologically, like the placebo effect the brain does weird things, okay? So I'm not gonna give her crap for that. I'm not gonna give her crap for falling subject to the placebo effect. Sometimes the body is a weird thing. It just is. What more concerns me is like, she genuinely thought this punch had alcohol in it. She's around all her coworkers and her bosses, and she just like continues to drink what she thinks is alcoholic punch. Like she's totally okay with acting like a fool when she says she has thinks she has a reason to. Like she's saying, oh, I'm feeling it. I'm crazy. And she's continuing to drink the punch. If she genuinely thought there was alcohol in it, that's on her to not continue to drink it. Like for me personally, if I'm at a work event, like a professional, I have to think back to like my teacher days because I don't really consider it the same as much in the content world. But like if I'm at an outing with a bunch of teachers and someone is getting so plastered, they're doing dumb things, I'm still like, oh my God, this is a work thing. Like, you're the only one drinking. Maybe you should calm down. Personally, maybe I'm a Karen, I don't know. Like, it's about the vibes, and if you're not matching the vibes, you're gonna look silly. Now, that doesn't mean that I think that she, like, is doing anything wrong. I'm saying, and I wanna be so clear about this, because I don't want this to be misconstrued. I don't want someone to think that I'm like, oh my God, people can't have fun at work events, like if there's booze. Like, no, do whatever you want. I'm saying that if anyone is looking at you like, oh my gosh, they're being so silly, they're the only one drinking, they're the only one being loud and like falling out of their chairs drunk. Because like if everyone in the room is doing it, like that's the vibe of the party. But if it's not the vibe of the party, maybe we don't drink so much that we're falling out of chairs. Like that's just a personal opinion. But for me, if there's only one person at an event, at a work event, that's drinking that much, I don't really see a difference of if it was the booze or not. Like, you're either just being silly, not drunk, or you're like choosing to get plastered like that by yourself at a work event. And to me, I don't see a difference in thinking that's a little silly. Like, I feel like I'm not explaining this well enough. I don't care what someone does. I don't care if someone acts. I don't understand why Sandy's her name. I don't understand why Sandy would care if the silliness was coming from the drinking or not when she's the only one doing it. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense. Maybe I'm not explaining this thought process right, but regardless, I think she's just embarrassed. She's embarrassed, she's humiliated, and she should be upset with herself. If there was alcohol in the punch, she should have done a better job at regulating herself. She should have realized, oh, this is too much, I need to stop. I don't want to look a certain way in front of the bosses. Why is it okay to act like that in front of your bosses without the alcohol, or with the alcohol? But without it, it's like, oh no, now I'm humiliated. Well, you still acted that way. I don't understand the difference, personally. And if you didn't want them to think you were being silly, then ease up. Why is it someone else's fault that you let yourself drink too much? There wasn't any alcohol, but placebo effect. It's still placebo effect. So like in her mind, she's getting drunk. Why is it someone else's fault that you kept going? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, Sandy is being a problem at work. Like, honestly, I think this girl, OP, is gonna have to eventually go to HR and deal with this, because if this is creating a hostile work environment because Sandy embarrassed herself and she's not only blaming OP but creating a hostile work environment over it, that's gonna have to be something that is dealt with at work, or who knows what it will spiral into. You know, it's gonna have to be dealt with. It's not fun. It happened at a work event. It's impacting the work environment. It's just gonna have to happen, unfortunately, which is not fun. In HR, I think will 100% be on this person's side. Everyone always says HR is like not your friend, they're the company's friend. And like, yeah, that is HR's job to protect the company. But it's not you that's jeopardizing the company, it's Sandy. Sandy's the one that's being a problem. She's the one who got drunk at a work thing, but not really. She's the one being hostile and upset and blah, blah, blah. Like, I would feel comfortable sending someone to talk to HR about this personally. Regardless of how other people feel about HRs, I didn't love my net teaching, if that helps people who are gonna attack me for saying that. RHR, I still have that recording on my computer of that HR meeting that I had when I quit teaching. Bless that guy's heart. That's fine. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for shoving cake in my husband's face? I, 35 female, have been married to my husband Mark for 5 years. It's been great until yesterday. Yesterday was our 5th year wedding anniversary, and we had family, my in-laws, and some friends over to celebrate. When we brought out the cake, Mark decided to grab the back of my head and shove my face into the cake. Mark and his friends were laughing at me, and my family was also laughing at me. My friends just said, whoops, but they didn't even stop it. My in-laws, though, were horrified and came to check on me, thank goodness. I confronted Mark about it because I told him numerous times beforehand not to shove my face in the cake. But he just shrugged his shoulders and said, just lighten up. I was so mad that I took a slice of cake and I shoved it in his face. But guess what? He started crying. He didn't like it. His friends and my own friends and even my own family gave me dirty looks and icy glares and went to go check and comfort Mark. Been a few days and my own family said that I should have just left it alone and that I took it way too far. Even Mark's been giving me a hard time about it. However, my in-laws said that he shouldn't have shoved my face in the cake if he wasn't ready for the consequences. I don't know, everyone else seems to be mad at me, so I just need to know, was I the bad apple? I feel like there shouldn't be a surprise as to what I'm about to say, because I feel like whenever we get stories like these, I feel like I'm pretty consistent. I'm going with bad batch, personally. Like, these kinds of things are kind of a pet peeve of mine, and I can already hear a little of the keyboards to hear me out. I'm not saying at all, like, I'm saying bad batch. I'm saying that I don't like anybody here. I don't like that Mark shoved his wife's face into cake like that. Especially, like, the thing that makes it worse is that they've talked about it beforehand, right? I would already not like Mark if in the moment he was like, this is gonna be fun. Because, like, are there some women that don't care? Yeah, but like me, for example, I hate doing my hair and makeup. I hate it. If I'm gonna take the time to do my hair and makeup for an event, and then you go and you purposefully mess it up, like you're shoving cake on, I would be so mad. I would be so angry. Because if I did my hair and makeup, that means I want to take cute photos. I want to make memories. I want, like, you know, like I want to do that. I want to take cute pictures with you and with my loved ones and with my friends and family. Like, you just messed that up for me. I can't do that anymore. Or I have to go and redo my whole face of makeup. I don't want to do that. I hated doing my makeup the first time. So, like, he should know if that's something that his wife would or would not like. He should know her at that point. Now we have well, we talked about it beforehand and I told him not to. That's a jerk move. That's gross. I hate that. But what I also hate is, like, if you hate something that your spouse did and you're like, I want them to be just as upset as me, and you go and you do the same thing just to make a point. I also hate that. Like, I don't like the whole, they made me upset, so now I want them to be upset. Like, anytime that your goal is for your partner to feel upset or embarrassed or humiliated or invalidated or anything like that, like, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. Like,
I almost like spilled some dirty laundry, it's fine.
I just don't think that's right. Like, I've always been the kind of person that no matter how upset I am, no matter how angry I am, I don't want my partner to feel bad or embarrassed or bad about themselves. Like, I'm against people having that goal. I always have been, I always will be. So like, while I know that there are gonna be some people who are like, you go girl, you show him, like he didn't like it either. There are going to be people that are like that, and that's fine. I'm not going to like judge you for that. I just don't agree. This is a personal pet peeve that I have, and I'm standing by that. Do I think that a serious conversation was warranted? Do I think it needed to be addressed that he specifically went against her wishes and like did that and like basically ruined that moment for her at their 5-year wedding anniversary? Yeah. 100,000%. Not that way. Like I'm gonna get him back. I don't think that partners should have like the tit for tat, like you made me upset, so now I want you upset. Why would you ever want your partner to be upset? I don't like that mentality. So that's why I'm going Bad Batch, and I'm sticking with that. Because that is, like, to me, that is too far. Like, to go out of your way to make your partner feel as bad as you do, that is too far. Now, her friends also, like, if she was, like, clearly upset by that, and they're like, get over it, I don't like that either. But I do agree, like, when you decide, no matter what it is, no matter where you are, when you decide to go out of your way and purposefully upset your partner and want them to feel as low as you feel, that to me is too far. That mentality, it's not the action, it's the mentality. That to me is too much. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for asking my friend to give back the gift I gave her? I, 27 female, have been friends with a girl we'll call Mary, 28 female, since high school. Recently, I was back in our hometown and she invited me to our birthday brunch to celebrate her 28th birthday. One day on my way home, I happened to stumble across an estate sale where I found a set of very nice crystal champagne glasses that were in really good condition and way cheaper than they're worth. Mary's always lived a very high quality, fancy lifestyle, so I thought they would be perfect for her, especially when they were within my budget. At the time, I was recovering from student loans and just put a deposit down on my first apartment, so budget was definitely something on my mind. Fast forward to the brunch. We had a really good time, and I got to catch up with Mary and other friends from high school, and I just had a blast. Mary was very eager to open presents, and when she got to mine, she seemed to really enjoy them, asking me where I got them since there was no label. I said that I didn't know the brand, but the person running the estate sale assured me they were authentic and had been a wedding gift to the previous owners. As soon as I mentioned estate sale, Mary became visibly disgusted. Although she didn't say anything to my face, she was very passive-aggressive towards me for the rest of the afternoon, and I heard her whispering to some of the other guests about how I had the audacity to give her a used item and she would be discarding them later. After the event was over, I approached her privately, not wanting to make a scene, and asked, hey, if you're not gonna use those glasses, could you at least give them back? Because I'll put them to good use. I know they're good quality. I will enjoy them if you won't. She flipped out and told me it was extremely rude to ask for them back, and it wasn't my business what she did with them anymore. They were hers now. My family is understanding and thinks that I did nothing wrong, but some mutual friends also at the event think otherwise, so was I the bad apple? No. Okay, my explanation is gonna be very short and sweet, but I have a little life lesson for all of my little lovelies in their 20s. So no, a nice gift is a nice gift, period. Whether it's something homemade that is useful, that is necessary to one's life and livelihood, whatever, whether it's thrifted, whether it's purchased at an estate sale, like something, good quality is good quality. A good gift should never be like deemed by the price tag on it. There are things that are so much money and so expensive that are not crap. Like if your entire value in life is about like what's on a price tag, that to me, that's not a life worth living. Like I personally don't hang out with crowds that think otherwise. Like I think there's so much more to life than bragging about how much you spent on something. And I'm someone, like, I feel very fortunate and privileged to have the things that I have and live the life that I live. And I love thrifting. What? There's nothing like there's nothing wrong with it. Just because you can buy more, like why do you have to? It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. It just doesn't. And also like to expect someone to be mad that someone you haven't seen in years and someone that you're not actively close with, inviting them and expecting them to spend all this money on you and being upset when they're not. Like, oh, you got me a good gift, but I don't think it cost enough. That's dumb. That's just dumb. What? Are you kidding? If someone were to get me something that I like genuinely liked or loved, and I don't like when people buy me gifts because I don't like when people spend money on me because it makes me feel uncomfortable because I just want their company. I just want their friendship. I don't like asking for people to spend money on me. It makes me feel bad. I have a whole merch line and I don't even tell you guys about it because I feel bad because I don't want you spending money on me. I also don't like the website that it's on very much, but that's like a different story. But anyways, yeah, yeah. And like for friends to be agreeing with that, I think OP needs a different group of friends that like thrifting, see the value in that. Not even just the monetary value, but like the sustainability value, the eco-friendly value, like, you know, that's just my opinion. But something that I think is important that I've taken a long time to learn and understand and realize and accept is we all have friends from high school and we all have people from our childhoods that we love and we hold dear. And as we get older, a lot of times our view of these individuals kind of stay, I don't know what word I'm looking for. We kind of view them how we met them. And sometimes you don't even see these people change and grow, right? Like we're all growing in our 20s. There's a point in your 20s, we all grow into the adult human being we're going to be, right? And a lot of times that can be very similar to who we were when we were younger, and a lot of times that can be very different to who we were when we were younger. And it can be very difficult to realize that people that you loved and cared for and cherished when you were younger are no longer the same person now that you're older. And sometimes it can be like oh, I haven't seen these people in years and I got here and everyone's very different. Or it can be I've been hanging out with this person for years and I never realized that they turned into a completely different human being. And now I'm seeing it and I'm bothered. And that's real. And sometimes you're like, oh my God, you've turned into a completely different person and you've come into yourself, and I love it. Like my friend Lauren like really found her confidence in her 20s, and I love that for her. I love that for her. Like she's really come into herself and I love it. There are other people who you will realize, oh, you're not who I thought you were. And that's really devastating. That's hard. And it will happen to everybody. There will be a couple people, one or at least a couple people in your life that you're like, oh, this sucks. And it does hurt. And it took me a long time to accept that was a normal thing. And so I just wanted to touch on that and let you all know it is normal. You're not crazy if you are experiencing it or dealing with it. It happens. It's sad. And it's just a sad part of life. But you're not crazy. And I think OP, I go good apple. And I say, don't worry about these people. Don't worry about it. They don't even live where you live. Don't stress about it. Let them do what they want to do. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for making my boyfriend's mom cry? I, 20 female, and my boyfriend, 24 male, have been together for almost 2 years and we live together. His mom is very involved in his life. Some might say a little too involved and overbearing, but I try to be respectful about it. She's nice, but has this way of like pushing boundaries while acting like she means well. So here's the issue. I have a no shoes in the house rule. My boyfriend's cool with it. All my friends do it, no problem. But his mother, she claims it's rude to ask guests to take their shoes off, and it makes her feel disrespected. I've tried explaining that it's just a cleanliness thing, but she won't budge. Last weekend, she came over and surprise, surprise, walked in with her shoes on. I very politely said, oh, do you mind taking them off, please? She kind of huffs and says, you're really gonna make me do this? And I just stood there waiting. She sighs dramatically and takes them off and spends the whole visit sulking. Later, I get a text from my boyfriend's dad saying that I made her cry and she feels like I'm trying to assert dominance over her own son in his own home. It's our home, actually. My boyfriend's on my side, and now his parents are acting like I've disrespected the Queen of England, so I don't know. I feel like this was a pretty normal thing to stand my ground on, but am I the bad apple? No, not honestly. Like, do not fold. Do not fold. Do not cave. Do not give in. This is a very important moment in your relationship if you want it to last with this man. First of all, props to boyfriend for being like, no, you're right. No, you're right. Like, yes. W boyfriend. Some people might not agree with this. I honestly say W boyfriend's dad, not because I think the mom's right and him siding with her is correct, but I'm like for me, the whole idea of like support in public, correct in private thing, I think is so important for partners. Like I value that a lot personally, and you guys might not, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with me, but to me it's important. So I can't like hate on him for doing that because I believe in it wholeheartedly. So, but no, mom is totally projecting this idea of asserting dominance. No, she's trying to do that to you. For sure. And like there are people who, so I also have a no shoes in the house rule. Like it's a pretty normal rule and it's really common in a lot of different cultures. In my house, I don't like to do the shoes thing. There is one person that I will not ask about their shoes for, and that's my mother. And I'm not saying that I think she should do that at all. I'm just sharing my experience. I'm just sharing my life. My mom has like really weak legs and knees and feet and things like that, and it actually physically kind of hurts her to walk around on hardwood floors without shoes on. And I would never want my mom to be in pain at my house. So like I'd rather do a little bit extra cleaning than for my mom to be in pain at my house. Like that's fine with me. That can be an exception. That's not the case here though. I just want to make that clear. I'm not saying that is the case here. This is mom trying to assert a power move. And I'm gonna tell you, standing your ground on this is going to save you so much in the future, because like, this is such a small thing to be all up in arms about. If she knows if you fold, and she knows that she can just eventually like get you to fold and nag and like knock your walls down, and you will eventually just give in to whatever she wants. Later, when it's an issue that you actually care about, it's gonna stink. Like, you want to stand your ground now on something that doesn't matter, that is irrational, so that later when you actually have an issue that you are concerned about, that's a big deal and matters to you, that's like an actual issue, not just some weird small power move over something that really doesn't impact her in the slightest bit. You want this precedent, for sure. Absolutely. You want her to know that when there's illogical things going on and she's just trying to do a power move, you're not gonna budge. You want her to know that about you. And if you're going to survive with this man, and he seems to back you up, and I love that. That's good. That's a good sign. But if you like this guy, you want to assert yourself as someone who's not just gonna fold and be bullied by this kind of woman. And I think that's very important. I say, you go, girl. I love that for you. You do that. Like, I've never heard of it's disrespectful to ask someone to take their shoes off. I've never heard that before. Is that a cultural thing, or is she just making that up? I feel like she's just making that up and is just choosing to be a victim in my own son's house. Well, like, if he doesn't care, then that's his rule too. Like, that's their rule for their house. Are you saying you don't respect your son's rule? Like, I don't. Very telling, very telling. So I'm going good apple. All right, that is 3 good apples and 1 bad batch. At least that's what I got. I would love to know if you got the same thing or anything different. Let me know down in the comments what you're thinking. I definitely think there's some people that will have a few different opinions than me, and that is fine. That is totally okay. We don't have to agree on everything. We don't have to have the same boundaries. We don't have to think the same details are important. That's okay. I still love y'all. So for your well wishes, it is National Clam Chowder Day and National Chocolate Covered Nut Day. I'm gonna be honest, some of y'all might hate me for this. I don't love clam chowder. I tried it. I'm a part of the One Bite Club, okay? I've been a part of that club my whole life. I tried it. I don't love clam chowder. It's just not my favorite. There are other chowders that I love. Clam is not one of them. So I will be celebrating Chocolate Covered Nut Day. My preferred chocolate covered nut is cashew. I do like cashews. I like cashews a lot. I could also do pecan. I'm not against pecan. I'm not a huge fan of peanuts though, personally. That's just, I like peanut butter, but I don't love just eating peanuts. I know. I know, I can already hear the comments. It's fine. Let me know down in the comments which day you guys are gonna be celebrating. I'm sure there's a lot of people with nut allergies that are gonna be having to deal with the clam chowder, and that's fine. You guys got this. It's not the worst in the world, it's just not my favorite. And as always, if you want a chance for your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send them to my subreddit, r/Am I the Bad Apple. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and hope to see y'all next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.